Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Infinite Series Fearless Defenders Thundra. With the other arm required to finish at least headless Hulkbuster Iron Man. Let me also point out too that the packaging by default, because the arm is so heavy, this is one of the heavier packages. This one, the legs, basically the legs, the arms, all those figures are much heavier than what ultimately was the torso. And I thought the torso would have been a heavier piece, but it seemed like the lighter and the more hollow of all the pieces that make Hulkbuster. Spin around the side of the back, or spin around the back of the package. The quick read-up says, with the unbreakable dragon fang sword and heavy steel chain, these heroines bring evil to its knees. The other femme fatale is Marvel's Valkyrie, which we've already had a look at. Still a gorgeous figure. And other figures available. If you want to build Hulkbuster, you will need the following 7 figures. Marvel Now Iron Man, Marvel's War Machine, Marvel's Blizzard, Marvel Heroes Doctor Strange, Marvel Heroes Vision, and finally the Fearless Defenders Valkyrie that we just looked at, and Fearless Defenders Thundra. Spot picked up the Thundra as well as the remaining figures that so far we've been putting together from the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store. If you guys are interested in picking this up for yourself, head down below and click the link. You can order yours today. That being said, Spot is going to take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Fearless Defenders Thundra. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. If you are just joining us now, I'm not really sure how that's possible, but we are first going to have a look at the arm that comes with Thundra. The arm paired next to Thundra, who's laying down because I can't get her to properly stand. The arm is roughly about the same height as her. She is about, well, a head and a half taller than the arm. But it's funny that the arm is heavier than Thundra here. I found that kind of humorous. I chuckled to myself, and then somebody came in and wondered why I was chuckling. We'll take the rest of Hulkbuster. We're coming along quite nicely, I might add. We're going to take the arm, and we're just going to bend the joint ever so slightly, and we're going to tab that into place. Sometimes you have to add a little bit of extra finesse, and there we go. It's almost finished. I guess essentially it is finished if we pretended that the head got removed. We're not going to pretend that. That's mean. Hulkbuster's not going to like that. But it is coming along nicely, and as I thought initially, it is heavy. There's a good bit of weight going on there. So we're going to take Hulkbuster and put it to the side. We will look at him soon enough. Thundra, unfortunately, again, I can't get her to properly stand. That's the downside to using sometimes a fabric backdrop. You need kind of more of a flatter surface. But she's a good figure. She comes with one other accessory, a ball and chain. And you take the chain handle end of it, and you can tab it into, I shouldn't say tab, you snap it into her hand like that. Luckily, because the sculpt of the chain, it does a pretty good job of just holding its own. Holding its own. It looks like give it a little bit of gravity, give it a little bit of time. Yeah, it could eventually fall, but for the meantime, no, it does a pretty good job. I like that the sculpt, at least, it's not just this piece that just sits, you know. It actually has a little energy going on to it. Just take this out of her hand, put it to the side. Now Thundra, we'll reach off camera and bring in Valkyrie. Thundra essentially, most components, and by most components I mean the arms, arms, hands, and legs share the exact same body as Valkyrie. The only difference is Valkyrie has her own body, her own torso, I should say, and Thundra's has been retooled as well. So there's where the differences lie, but like the arms and the legs are exactly the same. It also equals 2 extremely tall female figures, which I like. The skin color, before actually we move it off camera too, the skin color is roughly the same too. I feel like Valkyrie's is not as shiny as Thundra's, but it's roughly about the same tone, same color tone. Moving that off. I can tell you one thing I wasn't crazy about, and I have since changed my mind, was the face. I didn't know if I liked so much that the mouth was open. Like in packaging, I think it bothered me. Out of packaging, I'm warming more and more up to the open mouth. Because we don't get a lot of open mouth characters. I mentioned this before, and I'm sure other videos. You know, you can have a lot of, you know, non-expression faced characters, and then to the other extreme, you can have ones that are overly exaggerated on facial expressions. But sometimes after a while, it gets very boring just to get a closed mouth. In fact, if you look at all the figures, technically 2 of them were masked, being the Iron Man and the Blizzard. But if you look at all the other figures, all of them have had closed mouths. Case in point, we'll bring in Doctor Strange. Closed mouth, not much of an expression. Valkyrie the same, so is Vision. It's nice that Thundra here has an open mouth. She's grimacing. It looks like she's doing something. At least, it looks like you could have actually had her in battle, whereas the other ones are very calm and reserved. Her body consists of, it's a very wrestling kind of suit that she's wearing. I think Charlotte Flair has like similar outfit to this. Red, nice red color. She's got a little bit of gold going on there. Not too bad, actually. The gold, I was a little worried was going to be a mess, but the gold ended up being pretty clean on the figure. It's been painted on quite well, actually. The coloring of her boots don't quite gel with the metallic gold that's on her legs or in her arms. That's the one, maybe one strike I could make. This is more of a gold plastic. Of course, the paint. I just wish the 2 of them kind of came together a little bit better. The sculpt on the hair, though, is nice. The face is quite nice. It's a pretty figure. I have to say, it is a pretty figure. She has the thing where the belt is a loose piece, so it does do a little flopping around when you want to pose her. I guess if you wanted to, you could take just a little dab of glue and just apply a little bit of pressure, and then that belt's not going to go anywhere, you know, if you're not too worried. Unless you want to be, if you're a collector, maybe you want to be able to do this with your belts. I don't know. You could. When it comes to our articulation, Thundra's head is limited. Now, that should be another problem, a little nitpick of mine. It can't really be helped because that's the way her hair is. It just simply is a hair that by nature obstructs articulation. You can't do a lot of head movement. Like, as you can see, it's about there and it's about there. Yeah, not much. Arms hinge out. They swivel at the bicep. A bend in the elbow, which also rotates the forearm. Rotation in the wrists. And as we mentioned already, she has the upper torso ball joint. So a nice movement there. And the legs, because she's really using the same build as Valkyrie, she has the same problem with her legs. Legs hinge out, but in order for her to kick, you would have to take this leg and move it forward so that hinge faces this way, and that allows her to kick forward. And even then you can't do a whole lot of movement, mainly because of her tush here. It does obstruct a little bit of movement in her legs. She has a swivel at the top of the thigh, a double hinge in the knee, and finally she's got a hinge foot. She has no movement or anything in the boot section. It's just all sculpted, but at least she has the hinge in the foot. Thundra is not a character I know a lot about, but it's still a figure I really like. Females figures, nothing against female figures, but female figures tend to be hit or miss. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad, and then you have ones kind of in the middle. If I look at Thundra here, and I get her chain into her hand, if I look at Thundra, she is one of those figures that does things well. She could be right up there with the likes of Black Cat, which I still is one of my favorite Hasbro Marvel Legend female figures. Just that figure is just so good. Doesn't have as much articulation. I know people want a little bit more going on there, but Thundra's up there. I really like the face. Wasn't crazy when I first got it out of packaging, but that open mouth, I think, really works for the character. It's a nice change. There you go, guys. Today's Toy Spot, we were continuing our looks at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Hulkbuster Wave. Today we were looking at Thundra, and that leaves us with one figure left before we finally complete Hulkbuster. And that figure is War Machine, and we're going to be having a look at him in the next video. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. See you next time.